Let's see.
The city does have Officer Paul Green present.
Okay, let me make sure we've got a plea on this. I know we had a preparedness by attorney and then a withdrawal. On your failure to stop at a stop sign, how are you pleading that? Committed or not committed?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. My counsel advised me not to answer any questions, so I wasn't really sure exactly how I needed to plead to that. But
Okay, I'll put in a not committed plea for you and we'll proceed. Now, the process is the city will present its case and then you can cross-examine the city's witness, and when that's done, then you can present your case, testify, or whatever you want to do. So, go ahead, Ms. Riley.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city calls Officer Paul Green.
Okay, Mr. Green, come on, Officer Green, come on up, and if you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have a seat.
Officer Green, can you briefly state your job position and what you do?
I'm a police officer with the city of Walla Walla.
How long have you been an officer?
Approximately 4 years.
And as part of those duties as an officer, do you conduct traffic stops?
Yes, I do.
And have you had training on that?
Yes, I
Can
do.
you briefly explain the training?
In the academy, we go through training on how to stop vehicles, bicycles, trucks, automobiles, what the RCWs are, infractions, and citations.
Okay. And on July 12, 2019, were you on duty that day?
Yes.
Did you conduct a traffic stop involving Mr. Guerrero?
Yes.
Can you please explain how that came about?
Yes, I was driving down the street. I saw a bicycle rider in front of me approaching a stop sign and went through the stop sign without stopping. It's an infraction. I expected traffic stop.
Okay. Can you tell us what happened when you conducted the traffic stop?
Mr. Guerrero pulled over. I did not know who it was at that time. I got up to Mr. Guerrero, informed him of the infraction, and he informed me that it was not an infraction. I didn't have the right to stop him. Most of my traffic stops I do for the purpose of education, so that people can be aware of what's safe and what's not. This was not a case where that was happening, so I issued an infraction for it.
How far were you behind Mr. Guerrero when you saw him allegedly go through the stop sign without stopping?
I would say approximately 150 feet.
Did you have a clear view?
Yes.
You said there's a stop sign. Is that an official traffic control device?
Yes, it is.
Is it placed in accordance with the provisions of the traffic traffic ordinances and
Yes, it is.
statutes? Thank you. Was the device in the proper place?
Yes, it was.
Was it legible and visible?
Yes.
Were there any other traffic officers or police directing him to go through the stop sign without stopping?
No.
Did the violation occur in the city of Walla Walla?
Yes, it did.
Did you issue him a citation?
An infraction. Yeah.
Infraction, yes, thank you. I don't believe I have any further questions.
Okay, Mr. Guerrero, do you have any questions for the witness?
oh yes,
Go
I
ahead.
sure did.
Go ahead.
You stated that you normally do educational stops on things like this of this nature,
Yes, sir.
and you decided to write me a ticket for what reason again?
Well, because I informed you that this was a violation of the law, and you didn't want to believe me. You said that it was not, and I did not have a reason to stop you.
Are you sure of that?
Yes.
Because I do have record of that.
Yes.
You are on record, under oath, right?
Yes.
So that's how it happened?
I informed you that there was an infraction, and you informed me that it was not.
I informed you. Did I inform you that I was unaware that it was an infraction?
I don't remember what language you used.
But you remember that I told you that it was not an infraction. So you remember that part, but you don't remember the other part.
Well, let him answer.
I informed you it was an infraction, and you informed me that I did not have a right to stop you. I don't remember the exact language used.
So that's your testimony under oath, that I did not have the right to stop you. Or you did not have the right to stop me.
I don't remember, sir, exactly the words that you said.
So now you don't remember. Before it was one thing, and now you don't remember. Which one is it, officer?
I told you that I had a reason to stop you. I told you why I stopped you, and you told me that I did not have a reason to stop you.
You remember now?
That's what we said. I don't remember the exact verbiage.
Well, you're just saying the exact word. You just said
Your Honor,
verbatim.
it was asked and answered.
I'll sustain the objection. Let's move on.
What time did this happen?
It was early morning hours. I don't remember, sure.
All right. And when you got into your patrol vehicle, after I asked you what the RCW code was, and you said would you rather me write you a ticket? That's what your verbiage were, from what I recall. You went
Objection,
into
Your
your...
Honor, Mr. Guerrero's now testifying. He needs to ask a question.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection.
So you went into your vehicle and you rolled up your window and you contacted dispatch. Was there any other contact that you had with your sergeant?
Objection, there's no foundation. He's speculating.
I haven't even asked it.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead and ask the question.
Was there any other people that you spoke with other than dispatch?
I believe other officers did arrive on scene.
Did you happen to have a conversation with your sergeant before you issued a ticket?
I do not remember having one.
Okay. Well, I would like to, since he's have his say presented in evidence, I'd like to present my video into evidence if it's at all possible, because
Just a
it
minute.
contradicts.
Just a minute. Do you have
everything he just
any
said.
more questions for the witness?
No.
Any more questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you may step down.
But, Your Honor, I have not seen this video. I would object that I haven't been provided the video.
Last time I was in, Your Honor, I asked if this could be done into a trial setting, and you said it wasn't available to be done that way, and this is what it's turned into.
What is the video? How long is it for?
It's like 4 minutes long, but I mean the initial conversation that I had with the officer is probably 30 seconds before he decided to write me a ticket for running a stop sign.
So
on my bicycle.
when's the 4 minutes come into play?
Well, it's just like waiting, talking to the other officers that arrived on scene.
I'll pose an objection based on relevance.
Okay,
You can testify as to whether.
well, let's you go. Let's have you testify. Then we'll listen to the. Do you have it on like a phone? Is that what you're talking
Yeah, it's
about?
on my phone now. I was going to post it online, but I'm kind of hesitant to do that with the actions of the police department already being retaliated.
Okay,
against me.
let's, if you'd raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You go ahead and give your testimony, and then we'll, and you can, state how that video was made, and then we'll see if that's admissible.
Okay. So the early hours, I don't remember the day exactly, but it was 5 a.m., morning bike ride. I was riding down, forget actually what street it was. But I seen the officer parked in a parking lot. And I just kept riding by because, I pay no attention to that. I'm just riding my bike. 4 blocks down the road, I see headlights coming. I see his red and blue lights coming behind me. After I try to wave him past, he decided to pull me over. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. What did I do? He gets out of his vehicle, introduced himself. He says that I ran the stop sign. I said I didn't come on my bicycle. He was like, yep, bicycles on the road need to abide by the same laws as the vehicles. I was like, I was unaware of that. He's like, he's like, do you have ID? I was like, well, what do I need ID for? He's like, because you just ran a stop, you had an infraction. I was like, what's the RCW code for that? And he's like, well, would you rather me write you a ticket? Because I can do that. And I was like, well, if that's what you have to do. And I got off my bicycle, laid it down on the ground. He walked into his vehicle, or I gave him my name at that point. He walked into his vehicle and proceeded to write me a ticket for running a stop sign on my bicycle. And I've actually looked it up under public records. It's the only issued ticket of its kind, I think in the last 5 years, but possibly even the history of this county, for running a stop sign on your bicycle. That's what we're all here for.
Right, and so let me say, let's get into this video a little bit. So the video would only show a disagreement about whether a ticket is, I mean, the action has happened, right? Whatever the incident is, it's over. And now this video might be a discussion about, and disagreement about the words that were actually spoken about, should I give you a ticket or should I not give you a ticket? I mean, which is generally the discretion of the police officer. He can decide, well, I'm going to give you a warning, or well, I'm going to give you a ticket. And so it wouldn't, what's the relevance to the facts of this case?
The relevance would be the fact that it contradicts what the officer's statement says. He's saying that he particularly would make it an educational stop, and just by me simply asking for what the RCW code was why I was given, was the reason he gave me a ticket. He said he'll write the RCW code on my ticket.
Well, I don't...
So it contradicts the statement today.
Okay, it contradicts a statement, and the inquiry was about what was said after the incident and the motivation for the ticket. I mean, is that really relevant to the issues here? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And if you can add more, then
I honestly believe there's more underlying reasons behind the ticket. I cannot prove them at this time. The officer states he does not remember speaking with his sergeant. There are some personal issues going on between me and his sergeant. And there's also other issues going on with me and the police department regarding civil issues and with their police chief. So it goes from the very top of the chain of their command, and in my opinion, the corruption has just trickled down onto the street cops, and it's now where I'm being targeted and retaliated against.
Well, let me, you know, I'm getting off track because we're still in the middle of a trial, but I'm you know, making a statement here when that's really digressing from the issues here. But you know, just to get things in context, I mean, hopefully the court is here making you know, deciding cases fairly and impartially. I mean, that we're part of the judicial branch. The police department and the law enforcement, the prosecutors are part of the executive branch, and they bring cases, and the court's hopefully being fair and impartial in deciding cases, but they don't work for me, and I don't work for them. I mean, that's part of the separation of powers, but it's what I'm getting at, what I'm putting that in context to say to you, well, I would agree with you. I bet they don't give many tickets for riding a bicycle, but you know, if they're in the mood to do it, they can do it. I mean, they have the discretion to do it. Now, you know, you could get into corruption or whatever. You know, there could be some improprieties, but I would, and I'm thinking of myself riding a bicycle. I'm thinking of myself going through stop signs and so forth at this particular moment, but you know, they can decide because of the, you know, the application of the bicycles to the rules of the road. They can give you a ticket, but I bet you're right. I bet you could look it up and find there aren't many tickets. And so, but that's not to say they can't decide that, well, I don't like the looks of this guy, I'm going to give him a ticket. And then and so you got one. Now, and I think it's up to me to decide if and there's some, and I'll tell you this too, there's some ambiguity in that law about the bicycles, because there's also a provision that the bicycles have to follow the rules of the road, but also that when bicycles are in an intersection, their obligation is to treat them like a pedestrian, and so it's not quite completely clear. But what I'm getting at, that's not really an application to your case, but I'm agreeing with you to a certain extent, I think it's up to me then to decide the case. And I don't, and so if you have more, well, I'll hear it, but I think the video, what you're proposing on that video, to me, doesn't sound like it's relevant to the facts of the case.
Indeed, they're not relevant to the facts of the case. They were just relevant in regards to the statement made by the witness presented by the city of Walla Walla today.
Okay.
He said, I argued, I didn't argue, I just questioned.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
said he issued a ticket simply based on the fact that I argued and not based on the fact that I questioned.
Yeah. Well, and in the whole scheme of things, I think they can do it, but it's, probably not a good deal. But, Ms. Riley, you've got anything else on this?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Guerrero, you got anything else? Any further testimony?
No, sir.
Based on the facts here, I'm going to find you have committed the offense. I'm going to suspend all the fine. Technically, you've contested this, and so you have the right to appeal within 30 days. And you're familiar. There's some expenses that go with that, but there's zero owed, but you have the right to appeal. So.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.